welcome to the $1 Billion Podcast, a weekly show about the entrepreneurial journey and making it big in any industry. We're your hosts, Joe White and Kane Daniel. Welcome back to the $1 Billion Podcast. Today, we're diving into the world of emerging talent in the mortgage industry, and we've got a promising guest with us, Matthew Khoshabe. Matthew joined Relima Financial Group in 2024, just a few months ago, and he brings a fresh perspective to the industry. We're excited to hear about his journey so far, the lessons he's learned, and his vision for the future. Matthew, welcome. It's great to have you with us.
Amazing. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you for the opportunity to be on here and hopefully help other people as starting the journey.
Yeah, absolutely. So what kicked off your interest in this industry? Because, we talk to a lot of different individuals, and so far, none of them have said, when I was a little child, I dreamed of being or dreamt of being a mortgage broker. Was that any different for you?
Absolutely not. Definitely not the first person to say it either. I have lots of entrepreneurial experience in the past. Prior to this, I had a power washing business. And actually, I purchased a condo not too far from here. And I met a mortgage broker, became my friend, and he kind of brought me into the industry.
Well, what attracted you to this industry? What made you think, I'm going to give this a shot?
I saw opportunity, to be honest. My opinion, no offense, but a lot of the older folks in this industry, I find it very interesting. They're quite used to the old ways, so there's lots of new opportunities and lots of things, I call it meat on the bone left to be for the younger generation to get on there.
Now, when you said no offense, you were talking to Joe, right? Not to me.
I mean, you and I are pretty close. I'm sorry, Joe.
No, you're just talking to people in the audience, nobody here.
Because Matthew, you're a pretty young guy, right? So
yes. Maybe
if you can, give us a little bit of a background. I mean, you mentioned power washing, but just sort of what you've done so far. And specifically, I know you mentioned that you had a friend of yours that was in the industry. What did your friends say that attracted you? Or what are you expecting? And again, you're so fresh, but I'm really curious to see what you were expecting and then also how it's been so far in the first few months.
Okay. So most definitely, what kind of attracted me into the industry, I would say, is you have an actual opportunity to help people. I'm very interested in that. I know it's very generic what people say, but there is a true opportunity to help people in this industry. At the same time, it's amazing. It's very lucrative. It's a good career to be in, to help people in the first place. At the same time, you can have your own team in the future. So I was talking to my later brokerage, and they told me that I could eventually grow up your own team, which is amazing. I would say that was probably the main reason why I entered in this industry.
What has your path been like so far? So, I mean, like go back as far as you want. What have you been doing?
Sure. I would say let's start from high school, I guess, or early high school, like grade 9. I'm young, so we're going to start there. Early grade 9, I started buying and selling cars. At the same time, I was doing buying and selling Amazon pallets, and I started buying and selling fleet loads, so actual truck loads, 21-foot containers loads. And I started from there. And then long story short, eventually I ended up in grade 11. And I actually graduated high school early. I went to Georgian College. I studied personal finance. At the same time, graduated from Georgia College and also graduated from St. Peter's was the high school that I went to. So that was a pretty unique experience. After that, I got into power washing business. I was doing that for about 6 to 8 months. And then I was able to save up some money, bought a condo, and now I came into this industry.
That's amazing. So what were your first few months like? Or what have your first few months been like?
First few months been interesting. So it's definitely a challenge to get started. Given the main thing is you got to join a proper broker that's willing to help you. In the beginning, you definitely need some hand-holding. It's not even just help. You definitely need some hand-holding to show you, walk you through some deals and just to give you an idea. I feel like the main thing is, especially for people that are just starting out, the main thing that I've learned and taken away is you definitely have to understand where you got to put yourself in a mindset where it's kind of like a river's flowing. If you understand where your customers are going and you get in front of them, you interfere that river, that's how you find your customers. And once you find customers, you bring them back to your team, and that's how you actually learn, because you're not going to learn just by watching someone else do their deals. You have to be hands-on, and I've learned that, and that's definitely one of the biggest takeaways in the first few months.
Was there anything that you expected coming into here, or maybe you didn't expect that you found to be like any surprises that you've experienced so far coming into the industry?
Most definitely. Coming into the industry, I was very cocky, very excited. Uh, Definitely that ego got shut down right away. You definitely got to leave your ego behind the door and come in. That's definitely something in the beginning. It's you come in with high expectations. Oh yeah, I got this. This is easy. You get to jump into it. But reality is you got to slow down. You got to learn what you have to learn. You have to put in the time, and then you can actually proceed to dealing mortgages. I feel like for probably the first 2 months, even till now, I'm still learning. But for the first 2 months, it was more just learning before anything else.
You also mentioned about, I like that the way you said, I got to get in front of the river. What's the river been like for you? Like, where have you been finding your clients, and how have you been getting in front of them?
Okay. The best way, in my opinion, what's been the most, personally, I hate working with family. I will never do a family's mortgage because it just becomes nothing but more complicated than anything else. So personally, I started networking. I went to networking events. I feel like that's the best way to get going, get your name out there, because realistically, you're just a picture on a business card, just like every other realtor, just like every other mortgage broker. You're just a picture on a card, and you're not going to hand out cards. I started going to networking events and started meeting people, and eventually I met one realtor. They had some trust and faith in me. They knew I was new in the brokerage industry, but they gave me that chance. And then after there, kind of starts branching off. It becomes a referral. It becomes like a tree, one leaf here, one leaf there, and eventually you're growing.
It's a lot of time prospecting, right? Which I think is one of the things that people don't, you need to do it, but maybe not understanding fully how much of your time is going to be, marketing and yourself, especially in those first several months, right? Which I'm sure you're still in there now, right? So it's
100%.
Yeah. I just want to back up a little bit, Matthew, to something you said in high school. You kind of started almost like, I guess, like hustling, right? Like you were doing different things. What was the motivation for you so early on in your career? What were you trying to do, or what did you want to do?
My family were immigrants here to Canada. I was born here, very fortunate to be born here. I would say that was kind of a good kick in the, I don't know if I can say this or not, but good kick in the ass to get going. My dad and my parents had huge support. They always pushed me as a kid. So I always had that chance to grow and try different businesses. My father has his own trucking business, so I've always been surrounded by the hustle bustle mindset.
I think that's something that's not uncommon in this industry. A lot of people start out doing different things. I mean, as Joe mentioned, most people don't wake up and be like, I want to be a broker, but I think you find your way there because of the opportunity it has. And I love that you mentioned helping people. I think that's also something that's sometimes missed or not understood well, that is a lot of what a mortgage agent's role is helping people for a variety of different things. So love to hear that. That's
definitely
a good motivation.
Especially when the people want to slam the door on you, that's when it matters the most. That's when you actually help them. They don't realize what they're jumping into, and when you correct them, that's such a rewarding feeling.
And it's almost like this is your mission, right? Is to help and educate. So when you get the slammed doors and you don't get in there, it's almost like it's there. I feel bad that I wanted to help them, right?
Exactly.
So I think the mindset's important.
Yeah, that is a very important mindset. So Matthew, how have you been doing? How you've gotten a few applications. Have you gotten any fundings yet?
Oh yeah. So in about 2 weeks, I'll have 4 million deals funded, 4 million of volume funded.
That's amazing. In how many months?
It'll be almost 7 months, but 6 months.
See, this is why we said you're a rising star in this industry. That's
hopefully let's see what happens.
An amazing start.
Thank you.
We say a lot of the time, I mean, it's 3 to 6 months to really get started. So I would imagine probably those deals also came maybe within the last few months, I would assume, rather than the first couple,
right? Most definitely. Majority came, I would say, in the last three and a half months. Before that, prior to that, nothing.
So Matthew, maybe you can tell us a bit about what your day looks like, because I'm sure that people would be interested to know kind of what your secret sauce is to getting going so quickly. And there has to be something there that you're doing that really separates you from others who get into the industry and who, like Kane said, take 3, 6 months, 8 months before they have an income, and you're already on track for, like, in 7 months having 4 million. So what What does your day look like?
I'll tell you right there. Before I joined this industry, I was like, okay, yeah, this is gonna be like a side gig. I can always do this on the side, and when a mortgage application comes in, then I can handle it. That is not the case at all. You have to be in this industry for full time, and that's 100%. You must do that. It's not a side gig. It's not something you go just put to the side and continue working at a full time job. This is definitely your full time job. This is your main focus. And also, if you do that, you'll grow a lot. But I would say my secret sauce is I have non-negotiables, I call them, and I also heard it from different podcasts. So that's where I got the idea from. Non-negotiables. Yeah, I do 3 coffee meetings a week. So I have meet with different realtors or different partners. I would call them power partners. So they refer deals to me. I send them deals. It's just a back and forth exchange type of relationship. So that is probably how you grow, is meet those referral partners, those power partners. And that, I feel like that was what really helped me. And you just can't be shy. A lot of my friends and partners here are in my brokerage are very shy. They're not very open to going out. I'm like, oh, let's go find the next event. What's going on? You can't be shy. That's the main thing in this industry. You can't be afraid of anyone. You got to be approaches. You got to have confidence in yourself. If you don't have confidence in yourself, no one's gonna have confidence in you.
Where are you, or how are you approaching those individuals to have those meetings? Where are they coming from?
So now I've noticed a bit of a change. I know it's very early on, but I've noticed a bit of a change. I'm getting realtors referring me to other realtors. So that was obviously amazing. Like, that's your golden ticket as a mortgage broker. That's the best thing that can ever happen to you.
Yeah.
That's the best thing. But prior to that, I would say I went to networking events. So I went to different Mark Ferris's events and all these different people, these bigger names in the realtor space. I went to all the different events and started just meeting people, talking to people, and trust me, the opportunity is there. If you're willing to take it, the opportunity is there. It always is.
Yeah, I mean, I always hear, one of the points that even experienced brokers will make sometimes is that, real estate agents, they're already dealing with somebody. They get inundated with mortgage brokers.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's the case. And we've had real estate agents who've taken the course to become licensed because they can't find a good mortgage broker. So, when you're approaching them and when you're talking to them, what is that reception like? What's it been like for you? Are they surprised that you're there? Are they saying, you know what, you're just one of 100 that have approached me? What's the experience been like?
So I tried a couple different strategies, I guess, in approaching different realtors. The one that I see a lot is like, okay, we have another mortgage broker. If you're just cold calling someone, I'll tell you something really interesting. If you're cold calling someone, I promise you, they're just going to hang up the phone and have somebody hangs up. I tried that so many times, hundreds of different phone calls to different brokers anywhere in Ontario. They're all going to do the exact same thing. Personally, in my opinion, it's when you meet somebody in person. Like, for example, why I'm on this podcast, because I met Joe White in person at the mortgage summit. So that's the only reason why I'm on this podcast. Otherwise, I had no idea about the podcast. So that's that relationship you meet when you get someone in person. That connection you make is ideal, and that's when they give you the opportunity. And a lot of those people even will still say, I have a mortgage broker, which is fine. You can keep a mortgage broker. Put me as second choice. Tell them, I'm very upfront, put me as second choice. When that broker messes up, because eventually it's going to happen. Nobody's perfect. I'm going to mess up. Everyone's going to mess up. So when that broker messes up, let me in. Give me that deal and I'll take care of it for you. And then eventually, if you do it right, you send them a little gift, you play your strings right, you'll bring them over to your team.
Like you said, you talk about sending them a gift. Now, during the transaction, do you find that they enjoy getting updates? Like, how is your communication with them during a transaction?
That one I'm still figuring out, to be honest. So there's a lot of realtors that like the communication, and one of my partners recently, I was very shocked. As soon as you gave them communication, they're like, I don't want to know. Just get the deal done, and I don't want to know. So it just, I guess it's kind of like a feel it situation and see what happens in that particular situation. But I would say in majority of the times, yes, they like to have that, nothing too consistent, like not every day. Oh, this is what happened. This is what happened. Especially when you have a problem, like keep it in your own wraps. You don't have to tell everyone. Get that deal, get that problem solved, and then let them know, hey, we're in the next stage. Now we are finally over to the funding stage, or etc. Whatever the case is. So definitely keep that communication to a good amount, but at the same time, don't overstep.
Yeah, Joe, I was going to ask something very similar. We talk a lot about this at Remic with the mortgage course and some of the other courses that we do. Is, obviously communication is important, but then it's, I think, just as you said, Matthew, it really is about knowing them, knowing how they prefer to be communicated to, and how often they want to text. Do they want to be set up on a system where they can log in and see something? Do they want you to phone them every day? It really is an individual relationship that you have. And I also love what you said about, getting out and being in person. I think we all kind of realize the value of that with COVID and a lot of the restrictions that happen is the value of the human connection and what you can get out of that, right? The emotion and the emotion that you can't get over Zoom or over a phone call. So, yeah,
which is
Absolutely.
amazing, right? Because so many people think you can. So many people think, I can do all this business remotely, and you can do business remotely, but it's much more challenging, I think, trying to do
Most
business
definitely.
remotely and over the phone, is obviously you can attest to, than getting out there and getting in somebody's, not aggressively, but getting in somebody's face,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
yeah. Sorry to interrupt. I was going to ask you, because something else you said right at the beginning. You mentioned being younger and coming in maybe with a fresh perspective or newer ideas, as some of the older guys maybe aren't doing as much. Is that something that you sort of planned out? Like, did you understand what you wanted to do? And maybe if you can give us a hint, give us an idea of what do you think your approach was that's different than maybe some of the older brokers are doing in the industry now?
So I'll tell you, so something just to kind of tag on to that, and then I'll answer the question, is so for me particularly, a lot of the 90, I would say maybe 75% of the industry, realtors and also mortgage brokers, majority of the industry is all going to be the older population. They're not going to be necessarily the younger gen. In my opinion, well, from what I've seen, maybe I'm wrong, I don't know the stats, but in my opinion, they're a little bit older. So I would say maybe they're all in the 40s to 60 range, typically, and what I've seen. So typically they don't like to trust the young guy. They're like, oh, what kind of experience do you have? And what do you know? And they're always like, okay, give me your boss or something like that. So just to kind of tag on to that, I would say that's the main objective or main kind of thing I have to overcome as well. What I think helps me overcome that is through the relationships that you build, and at the same time, what I think older generation is leaving behind is that they're so used to the old way. They're so used to having, I guess, phone calls or that personal relationship, which is good. But you also got to keep in mind that now everything in society is way ahead of, and you're back here and society's over here. There's that opportunity of gap in between. That's where I have the opportunity to slip in and try to take over. That's what I think a lot, and especially like small things like communication. If you're sending emails, and by the time I send an email really quick, you send an email really quick, and I'm calling them, they're done. I've stepped over you 1,000 times by the time you sent one email. So it's just the simple small things I see that makes a huge difference.
Yeah, I think obviously it's really important. I think what I think about when you were saying that is, we all learned about the golden rule growing up, I think, and generations, but that I think that is sort of being replaced, at least in business, a little bit by, it's not do unto others what you want done. It's what they want done, because
Correct.
as we talked about earlier, right, it's not about what you want. It really is about how they want to be communicated to and how they want to do business. So yeah, I love that philosophy. Even though the older generation, I mean, you said 40s, I'm getting close, so I don't know if I agree with that one.
I'm yeah, it's
No offense, I love you guys both. Your names are everywhere. I love you guys both.
No, not at all.
but we're both very aware of our age.
Yeah, we
You
do
guys
talk
look young.
about referrals a lot, and something that you said as well. This was something that I had a challenge with when I started at Remic, even, and I was in my 20s. Same sort of thing. It was why would someone that's 50 trust me? Like, what is it about me that I'm going to bring to the table? And I think that needs to be taken seriously, because it's a legitimate point, right? If you're brand new, how can you help me? What do you know? And I think one of the things that's important in this industry is joining a brokerage that has credibility, that has authority, that has a good brand that you can leverage and look to when engaging with your referral partners, to be able to say, yeah, you know what, there's
That's
150 years underwriting experience at my brokerage. You're going to get the very best product. There's no doubt about it. And I'm going to be your liaison. I'm going to, whatever it is that is unique about you. I think that's something should be considered, especially if you have limited experience or you're younger.
Yeah, your value add for sure. That's the golden ticket.
So how did you find when you're bringing deals in? Do you have a central underwriter, or do you shadow your underwriter, or you have a mentor there that helps you through?
So I do have a mentor. We don't necessarily have an underwriter. We do have a mentor. Her name is Fatima. She's absolutely amazing. She's also the principal broker of Rolima Financial. So huge shout out to her. She's absolutely amazing. She kind of was the person that helped me offer me this job in this branch particularly. So it was amazing to come in and step in here. She's taught me pretty much everything I know. So she has been in the industry for, I don't even know how long. She had like so much experience. The brain on her is incredible. She has so much knowledge. You ask her anything in the moments of seconds, she answers. She knows the answer. So she's absolutely amazing. That's been a huge help.
And how did you find her? Like, how did you find the brokerage? I mean, as people that we recommend interviewing with different brokerages and finding one that's a culture fit and everything else. What was that process like for you?
It's a funny story. So to be honest, the brokerage found me, and I'll tell you why I say that is because during this transition period that I had from power washing and finding this industry, I was working at a perfume shop. I was an assistant manager at a perfume shop. During that transition time, I was studying to get my license. I went to Remac University. It was amazing. I love it. I was studying to get my license. And actually, so my family friend is one of the owner in this brokerage. And when I was studying, I called them, hey, I'm interested in joining, but I had no idea about the brokerage. It was just more of like, hey, I know this person, I trust them, and more they'll teach me. And when I was at the perfume shop, so one of the people that were in the mall, one of my friends, they came, and her mother was Fatima. I had absolutely no idea. Her mother was Fatima, and we got chatting, and I told her I'm getting my license, and she offered me a position at a brokerage. Later that I know, we come in the brokerage, and it's almost basically my uncle, and I was like, oh my God, what a coincidence. So it's definitely a unique experience there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we're gonna pull that word destiny or fate out pretty soon. I think that
go for it.
Yeah, it'll make them. That's almost enough to make me a believer.
When you want something in the world, if you put your mind to it, you'll get it.
Yeah. So how do you see maybe the next 6 months going for you? The next 6 months, the next year, what's on the horizon?
Hopefully, I'm still mortgage agent level 1. When I get the level 2, I was talking to my principal broker about maybe expanding and making a team on my own. I want to be more in the oversight. To kind of see a team and help the team develop. I love business development. Maybe I don't know all the stuff and tips and tricks of this industry. I personally love business development and starting different businesses. I've had a lot of other businesses experiences. We're talking about that, but we'll see what happens. In terms of goals, I want to fund 1 deal a week. That's ideal. That's a huge goal. But hopefully we'll get there eventually.
That's a great goal. That is a great goal. And it sounds like you're on your way to doing that. I mean, the aggressiveness that you have, the intelligent aggressiveness, right? The having a plan on how to get referral partners is something that I think everyone who's coming into the industry needs to take seriously and focus on, like you have.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you, Matthew, I think we were talking, offline before the podcast about, your involvement in the space for only a few months. So I think you're particularly interesting for those that are considering a career to understand what it is about them that they can find success. So not just the strategy that they're using, what competencies or what personality type maybe, or what is it you think that is accountable for your early success? Parts of you, right? Not necessarily your strategies. And do you think there's anyone that is not suited for the industry, and why, and what about them?
Good question. So I would say, I'll answer the second question first. If anyone is not suitable for this industry, I would say if you're not comfortable with not getting a paycheck every week, because that's a security level, and having a mortgage and having bills and everything like that, I understand that sometimes people can't afford to do that. But if you're trying to get in this industry, what helped me a lot, I put away some money for myself. I knew hey, everyone was telling me the first year and probably first year and a half, I'm not going to get any deals. No one's going to touch me. I'm not going to touch any deals. So that's kind of what I budgeted for. My mentor was telling me you should save about 30,000 or so to put on the side. So that's kind of what I did. That's going to help me get through the first couple of months. After that, I feel like that was the big hand. If you have the intelligence before you get into the industry, do some research before you get to the industry, talk to different people, you'll be surprised how much mortgage brokers with experience, they love to help people. I was very shocked with that. I know there's lots of people as well that don't even want to come near you, especially if you say you're a new broker, new agent. But a lot of people, you'll be surprised. A lot of people, even just a quick phone call, they love to chat.
Yeah, that's something that we talk about a lot. That is, I think you correctly said, it's not well understood about this industry, that it is an incredibly welcoming community of, especially people that have been in it a long time that actually want to give back and want to help, even if they're not part of the same brokerage. I mean, we see this a lot with different social groups and our own app, Agora, where there are a lot of different brokers communicating and helping each other that are not part of the same network or brokerage. So it is a wonderful, wonderful industry for that.
Nice. I didn't even know what app was it. What was it called? Agora?
Yeah, Agora.
Yeah, it's Agora, Agora.
Yeah. Oh, perfect. I'm going to definitely get that.
And Matthew, I wanted to ask you about something we haven't really touched on. I wanted to ask you about technology and maybe how you're using technology, and if you have any plans for, what technology might become for you in your business, and sort of maybe even what you think technology will do to the role of the mortgage agent. And are you thinking about that?
Yeah. Personally, being the younger generation, you probably think I'm in love with technology. Personally, I'm not a fan of it. But I do like AI. I did study a bit of AI in college, so just took the basic courses. Hopefully my brokerage doesn't see this, but they don't like AI necessarily. But I feel like if you use AI, it gives you that leverage in that hand. So instead of analyzing, for example, a 52-page document, you can just get the good summary and get the main key points. And if you see anything that sparks your interest, then you can dive into that page and see what's going on. Giving you that leverage, that time. Like, for example, if it takes you 40 minutes to go through that 52-page document, and it only took me 15 minutes, and I get to the customer first before you did, that's what's going to give you the leverage, I feel like, with definitely technology and especially AI being the crazy big thing now.
Yeah, I think your point's well made. I mean, we talk a lot about this in the industry with the emergence of a bunch of new tools, really thousands of new tools coming online, and a lot of them are appropriate for our industry. And so I think it's easy to get lost in the technology. So I understand your reservations or your brokerage's reservations, but as you correctly mentioned, that it's the time is the most valuable thing, and being able to save time and use tools on the back end so we can focus more on the human element, super critical, I think.
Exactly.
Going
especially
forward.
starting off and newer people. I feel like that like you said, the human element is the key point. You're not going to get any referrals online. You're not going to get any deals online, in my opinion. Strongly opinionated, but you're not going to find any deals on Instagram and posting social media. Good luck. In my opinion, I never had that experience yet. Maybe in the future when you actually have something to post and some useful content, maybe. But I still think starting off, you definitely have to have that relationship with other people.
Have you found that by going to these marketing events, going to these networking events, has it been very expensive to do that?
I would say probably in the beginning when you're not working, right? You're doing this career full time and you haven't got a paycheck. Sometimes it can get a bit costly, but you don't have to necessarily. Like I'll tell you another story. So I was playing soccer nearby a field in our house, and I actually met this police officer. Shout out to him. His name's Quinn. He's a very good guy. I met this police officer, and they ended up buying a house. And I was able to do their mortgage. I went to their house, and the same day that they're closing, he invited me over. He proposed to his girlfriend. It was just random person I met in playing soccer. So you don't have to. That was my first deal too, and I couldn't believe it. That's what made me very interested.
Nice.
But you don't have to go to these crazy networking events. Just go outside, be in public, be with people, be where other people are. It's just about being social. And if you're not going to be a social person, you're going to be on the phone in this industry. This industry is not for you. Go to a desk job, go to somewhere that you don't have to talk to anyone. That's the best place for you. But if you're going to be social and you just have the slightest of curiosity, you're going to be, I think you'll be pretty successful in this business.
So what was your move with that client? How did you bring it up and work it into a conversation that you do mortgages?
So we were playing soccer after the game, and everyone we started getting along, started chatting, and then we just ended up grabbing drinks. There was probably 7, 8 of us. That was my first deal. We all grabbed drinks. We went to St. Louis, not too far, and we just talked and talked. And he told me he's getting engaged. He started asking me some advice. And especially with this, very important with advice. Being new, you don't have too much knowledge. You have the basic knowledge. You have more, as everyone says, you have more than the basic consumer. But it comes down to also fake it till you know it. I hate to say that, but it is true. You got to kind of have that confidence in yourself, but you have to instill that confidence into other people. So you got to have that fake it till you know it type of headspace, if you will, and that gets you in the door for sure. That gets you in the door, and it's not like you're gonna give false information. Whatever you do know, and if you don't know it, you say, all right, I don't know this. To be honest, like I'll find out for you. I'll chat with you in the morning about it.
There's definitely a skill there to have that conversation, maybe without knowing everything and being able to still seem confident. So I think that, yeah, and that is super, super important. I don't even think necessarily, I think, your strategy there of, hey, you know what, I'm not sure about that one. Actually, let me find out for you. But that is a nice kind of way to deflect it and doesn't necessarily sort of degrade your brand at all. I mean, it's honest. There's an authenticity in there. There's a humility in there that I think resonates with a lot of people. Like,
hey, you know what? Being confident, it doesn't mean at all that you have all the answers. Somebody who's been in the industry a long time can have a question posed to them. They have no idea what the right answer is. So that can happen at any time, right? The confidence, I think, with many people comes over time with them feeling more comfortable in dealing with individuals, knowing that, hey, if I don't know the answer to it, it's not a big deal. I've gone through this before where I didn't know the answer and I was able to keep the client and get that information to them. And that's something I think can be done right away, like you're showing. And that confidence in your ability to deal with the client and get them the information they need is, I think, something that's really, really important for new agents coming into the industry to understand. That be confident in your ability to have the conversation. That lack of confidence shouldn't exist if you can handle the conversation, because everything else in the back end, all that knowledge and everything is there behind you, right? You've got the support of a wonderful team.
Exactly. If I can just add to that, Joe, I think I guess the prevailing thing under all of that is, do you actually care? Do you really care about them enough to be honest? Do you care about them enough to actually go out and find out the answer and then come back to them, even though it might not be a deal for you? You might have 100 of those conversations. Not all of them are going to turn into a deal, but do you care? Do you really, really care? And I think if you do, that confidence is going to come through. I think everything else is going to come through, the humility, the authenticity as we talked about.
Authenticity. I love that you said that. It's very accurate.
So Matthew, I was going to ask you, if you have, if you're sitting here talking to maybe a group of people that are looking to get in the industry or just considering, what advice might you have? What advice would you give to a group of people just sitting right here considering this career?
Now put yourself in the mentor shoes, Matthew.
I'm too early on to do that, but let's see. I would say most definitely do the research. Like, call me. Like I'm not giving a shout out to myself, but call me. I could love to talk to you. Talk to anyone, to chat with anyone, any friends, any family they have in this industry, or anybody. Just Google mortgage brokerages, Google brokerages, and see who comes up, and talk to them, and just see. And that the research that you have to do. I know it's a bit tedious, and it excuse my language, it sucks ass, but you have to do it. You have to do it. That will give you a realistic what's in a day in a life as a mortgage broker. Like, watch these videos, do all sorts of research. I came in this industry with a very high expectation. Oh, I'm gonna kill it. I'm gonna get the first deal in the first couple of weeks, and I don't know, all sorts of stuff. I was like, in my head, I had time frame. I'm gonna do training in 2 weeks, and then the next week I'll be done 2 deals. I was like, absolutely not. That is not the case whatsoever. And definitely leave your ego out the door. You have to be a person that's willing to be trained and a person that's willing to learn. That is a huge benefit. If you're able to turn off your mind for a second, close this, open these two. If you can do that, you'll be in a good shape.
I think
that's fantastic advice.
It's so important what you just said about being coachable. Like, we interview a lot of brokers, leaders in the industry, and we ask them that same question. And that's typically one of the answers that we get is coachable. Are they coachable? Yeah. So great advice there. Love that.
So Matthew, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you today. Thanks so much for taking the time. I think you've got some really valuable insights, and we're really excited for the trajectory of your career. It's fantastic to see that you're doing so well.
We got to do this again and see where you're at in a year and 2 years.
I would love that.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you again. We wish you continued success.
Thank you so
as
much.
Kate said, we're going to keep our eye on you and follow along and hopefully share in your successes. So it's been amazing chatting with you.
That's amazing. Thank you guys so much. If you want to keep along, I'm starting a podcast too. I'm going to give myself a quick shout out if you don't mind. It's called Real Talk YYZ. I'm starting it. First episode coming about probably a week and a half. We're just going to interview different industries, different people, some of the bigger names in this industry. So hopefully I can give you guys an interview next time and see what happens from there.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Very cool. Love the name.
All the best on that as well.
Yeah, I would love that. Love that. Thank you guys. Yeah. Thank you for everything.
Thanks, Matthew.
All right, pleasure. Thanks, Matthew.
Pleasure. Take care, guys. Thank you.
You too.
Thanks for tuning in to the $1 Billion Podcast. Make sure to subscribe to the show so you never miss an episode.
For more in-depth entrepreneurial insights, follow us on social media, and for more info on the show, go to billiondollarpodcast.com.
See you next time.